Yesterday, I was at work and they had announced that Sinead O'Connor died. Um, Obviously she was very controversial in the shit she did. But, she was born in Dublin, Ireland, and she was in England when she died. She went by a few different names. Basically, she was born Sinead O'Connor, but she would also sing under the name Magda David, and she would also sing under the name Shuhada, Sadaquat. Um, she was only 56 years old, which is really young, but her first album was The Lion and the Cobra, and that was released back in 1987. And it charted internationally. Um, Her biggest success came with the album I Do Not Want What I Haven't Got, which was her second album, which was released 3 years after the first one. And that one sold 7 million copies worldwide. The lead single of the album, Nothing Compares to You, was named the number one world single back in 1990 by the Billboard Music Awards. She released 10 studio albums. Another album followed up, I Am Not Your Girl, Universal Mother. Both I Am Not Your Girl and Universal Mother were certified gold in the UK. Faith and Courage was certified gold in Australia. And Throw Down Your Arms went gold in Ireland. Um, Her work also included songs for films, collaborating with many other artists as well, and appearances at charity fundraising concerts. Her 2021 memoir, Remembrance, was a bestseller. Um, in 1999, she was ordained as a priest by the Latin Trident Church. If I'm saying that right, I'm not sure. That particular church is not recognized by the mainstream Catholic Church, but she consistently spoke out on issues related to child abuse, human rights, racism, organized religion, and women's rights. Throughout her music career, she spoke about her spiritual journey, activism, socio-political views, as well as her trauma and mental health struggles. Um, in 2017, O'Connor had changed her name to Magda David after she converted to Islam in 2018. She changed it to Shuhada Sadaquat, but she continued to record and perform under her given birth name. Now, Sinead O'Connor was born at a nursing home at number 13 Pembroke Road in Dublin, Ireland, on December 8th of 1966. She was named after Sinead de Valera, who was the mother. She was named after the doctor presiding over the delivery. And then her and then she was named, and then Bernadette came as in honor of the Saint Bernadette of Lourdes. She was the third of 5 kids. Her siblings were not were, was a novelist named Joseph, and then Eimer, John, and Eon. If I'm saying those names right. Um, Basically, her father John was a structural engineer, later turned barrister, and and then her mother Johanna. Um, they didn't really say what the mother did for a living, but In 1979, O'Connor's parents separated and she went to go live with the father, who would marry another woman. At the age of 15 is when Sinead O'Connor started experiencing problems. Basically, she was arrested for shoplifting and basically was truant a lot. And then she ended up being placed in an asylum called Magladine. Now in some ways she thrived there, especially in the development of her writing and music, but she also chafed under the imposed conformity. If you were an unruly student, there were times where they would send the students to sleep in the adjoining nursing home, an experience that she later said that I have never and probably never experienced such panic and terror and agony over anything. In 1985, Sinead O'Connor lost her mother in a car accident when the mother lost control of her car on an icy road and it crashed into a bus. Now, Sinead O'Connor at that time was only 18. Um, in around 1980, she started experiencing a music career, where she started writing songs and then basically got her first album. One of the volunteers at this place that she was at was the sister of Paul Bryn, um, and um, and Paul Bryn was the drummer for the band in Tua Noah, who heard O'Connor singing Evergreen by Barbra Streisand. She recorded a song with them called Take My Hand, but they felt that at 15 she was too young to join the band. Now, through an ad she placed in Hot Press in mid 1984, she met a guy named Colin Farrelly. Um, Together, they recruited a few other members and they formed a band called Ton Ton Macoute. And the band moved to Waterford briefly while O'Connor attended Newton School, but she would soon drop out of school and follow them to Dublin, where the performances received positive reviews. Now, Now O'Connor's time as a singer for the band Ton Ton Macoute had brought her attention to the mainstream music industry, and she was eventually signed by Ensign Records. And she acquired an experienced manager named Faulkner. And Faulkner was a former head of the U2's Mother record. Soon after she got signed to that label, she embarked on her first major assignment, providing the vocals for the song Heroine, which she co-wrote with U2's guitar, which she co-wrote with U2's guitarist The Edge, for the soundtrack to the film Captive. Now, as I said before, her first album, The Lion and the Cobra, was a sensation, which was released in 1987, and the Chrysalis Records. And it reached gold status, which, if your album reaches gold status, it's actually a pretty big thing. Um, the reason why she was controversial is because I think it was Saturday Night Live. She was on Saturday Night. She was performing on Saturday Night Live. And after she got done singing, she ripped up a picture of the Pope, which was considered a sign of disrespect anyway, and basically it tarnished her career. On October 3rd of 1992, Sinead O'Connor appeared on the U.S. late night television program Saturday Night Live as a musical guest. She was originally scheduled to sing "Success Has Made a Failure of Her Home" and "Scarlet Ribbons," two of the songs from the album she was promoting at that time, off the album "I Am Not Your Girl." Now, however, the day before her live appearance, she asked and got permission from the show's production crew to replace the latter performance with a rendition of Bob Marley's 1976 song "War," which she intended to revise as a protest against sexual abuse of children in the Catholic Church and its continued cover-up, thus referring to child abuse rather than racism. Now, the night of the performance, she sang an a cappella version of the song "War," and she wore a necklace with the Rastafari star and a scarf with the Rastafari and Ethiopian colors. And staring down the camera for the entirety of her gig, she then presented a photo of Pope John Paul II to the screen while singing the word "evil," after which she tore the photo into pieces and said, "Fight the real enemy," and she threw the pieces of the torn up Pope towards the camera. The incident occurred 9 years before John Paul II would acknowledge the sexual abuse within the church that he was working for. Now, Saturday Night Live had no knowledge of O'Connor's plan, and during the dress rehearsal, she held up a photo of a refugee child, and like I said, this would tarnish her career. Now, a nationwide audience saw O'Connor's live performance, which the New York Daily's cover called a holy terror. NBC received more than 500 calls on a day, and 400 more on Monday, with all but 7 criticizing O'Connor. The network received 4,400 calls in total during that time, and contrary to the rumor, NBC was not fined by the Federal Communications Commission for O'Connor's act. Um, she basically would perform with a shaved head. Her shaved head has been seen as a statement against traditional views of femininity. Um, she was married and divorced 4 times, and each she had 4 kids. Um, in 2015, her first grandson was born through her son Jake and his girlfriend Leah. Supposedly, she had a relationship with Prince, the singer. Obviously, he's dead too now, anyway. Of course, Sinead O'Connor was diagnosed with complex post-traumatic stress disorder and bipolar. That's an odd way of putting herself. In 2000, she claimed she was gay, but but she had kids. And then she eventually, 5 years later, backtracked and said that she was 3/4 heterosexual, which means a quarter gay, which whatever the fuck that's supposed to mean. She was an outspoken person about the politics in Ireland and overseas. But she did a lot of songs. And I wasn't really familiar with her. I'm still not familiar with a lot of her music, but I'm pretty sure you can find it on YouTube anyway. Um, it says they're not treating her death as suspicious. They don't know what killed her yet. All they know was that she was found dead at her flat in Herne Hill in the south side of London at the age of 56. Um, which 56 is really young to die at, but but they're not expecting any foul play as of right now until they do an autopsy, which could take a couple months before they determine the cause of death. Um, and even though she's been married 4 times, none of her marriages lasted particularly long. The longest one was 2 years to a guy named John Reynolds, and all the other marriages lasted a little over a year, except for the last one, Barry Harridge. She married the guy the same year, and then they divorced the same year. Doesn't say exactly how long how long that marriage really lasted. But if you like the video, you can give the video a like and subscribe to my channel, RBW King. You can also hit the notification bell so you'll be notified when a new video comes out. You can also leave a comment, let me know what you think. And if you want to support my work even further, you can donate to my Patreon link, which you can find in the About section of YouTube. And for just a little over $3 a video or a month, your donation can help go a long way. And thanks for listening.